A father was being falsely accused of fraud. As the prosecutor pushed for 15 years, his 7-year-old daughter walked into the courtroom, stood before the judge, and said, "Let my dad go, or I'll release this." Then she lifted a hidden folder that changed everything. 15 years in federal prison, Assistant U.S. Attorney Rebecca Chen said, pointing directly at me across the courtroom. That's what Marcus Tanner deserves for embezzling $217,000 from his business partner and friend. I sat in my too small suit, the only one I owned, bought at Goodwill for $40 because the feds had seized everything else, hands cuffed in front of me, watching my life end in real time. The evidence looked bad. Devastating, actually. Bank transfers to offshore accounts in my name, forged contracts with my signature, email chains discussing moving money where no one will find it, all of it pointing to me, all of it fabricated. My former partner, David Walsh, sat across the aisle in the gallery. Armani suit, Rolex watch, fake sympathy plastered across his face like a mask. He'd set me up perfectly, stolen company money over 18 months, made it look like I did it, then reported me to the FBI with a mountain of manufactured evidence. The defendant betrayed trust, Chen continued, her voice carrying through the federal courthouse. He stole from a man who considered him a brother, who gave him an opportunity when no one else would, who believed in him. David nodded sadly, wiped at his eyes like he was fighting tears. The jury ate it up. I'm Marcus Tanner, 36 years old, auto mechanic, high school diploma, no criminal record, single father to Emma, 7 years old, who's been living with my sister Lisa for the last 4 months because I couldn't make bail. I'd met David Walsh 5 years ago when he brought his BMW into the shop where I worked. Fancy lawyer, nice guy. We got talking. He wanted to invest in an auto repair business. I had the skills. He had the money. Tanner and Walsh Auto Repair opened 3 years ago. We were partners, 50-50 split. I ran the shop. He handled the business side. I trusted him completely. My court-appointed lawyer, Thomas Martinez, fresh out of law school, 26 years old, drowning in student loans and public defender cases, had nothing. The prosecution had seized everything. My house, my car, Emma's college fund that I'd been building since she was born, my tools from the shop, everything. Martinez shuffled papers nervously. He'd tried, he really had, but he was outgunned, outmanned, outlawyered. The prosecution had 4 attorneys, access to FBI forensic accountants, expert witnesses. We had Martinez and Hope. Hope was running out. Judge Catherine Brennan, 64 years old, appointed to federal bench in 2008, known for harsh white-collar crime sentences, looked ready to rule. Does the defense have anything further before I deliver my verdict? Martinez stood. Your Honor, my client maintains his innocence. The evidence is circumstantial. We believe, you believe wrong, Chen interrupted. The evidence is overwhelming. 47 separate transactions, falsified invoices, the defendant's own signatures, his fingerprints on the bank documents. This isn't circumstantial. This is ironclad. The courtroom doors slammed open. Every head turned. Emma walked in. 7 years old, 4'2", wearing her purple rain jacket, the one with the unicorn on the back that was 2 sizes too big, pink backpack, sneakers that lit up when she walked, hair in 2 braids that my sister had done that morning, soaking wet from the rain outside. Hey! The bailiff, Officer Rodriguez, 38 years with federal court security, moved toward her. You can't be in here. This is a restricted. She ignored him, walked straight down the center aisle like she owned the place. Every eye in the courtroom followed her. Jurors, attorneys, gallery, everyone. My heart stopped. Emma, what are you? She didn't look at me, kept her eyes locked on Judge Brennan. Let my dad go, she said loudly. Her voice echoed in the silent courtroom. The courtroom went silent. That complete, heavy silence that feels like pressure in your ears. Judge Brennan's eyebrows went up. Young lady, this is not appropriate. Officer Rodriguez, please escort, or I'll release this. Emma held up a red folder, the kind you get at Office Depot for $2.99. It was bulging with papers. A few people in the gallery laughed. A kid with a folder. How cute. How naive. David Walsh smirked. The prosecutor rolled her eyes. One of the FBI agents in the back row actually chuckled, but Emma didn't move. She stood there, rain dripping from her jacket onto the courtroom floor, shaking. I could see her hands trembling, but determined. Judge Brennan sighed. Sweetheart, I appreciate that you want to help your father, but this isn't how— What's in the folder? I asked quietly, loud enough for everyone to hear. Emma looked at me then. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying, but her jaw was set in that stubborn way that reminded me so much of her mother. Proof that Mr. Walsh is lying, she said. David's smirk faded. Just a little. Your Honor, this is ridiculous, Chen said. We can't allow a 7-year-old child to disrupt federal court proceedings. She's clearly been coached. I have the real bank records, Emma interrupted. She pulled out papers from the folder with shaking hands. Aunt Lisa works at Pacific Northwest Bank. She helped me print them because I'm too short to reach the printer. She walked toward the judge's bench. Officer Rodriguez moved to stop her, but Judge Brennan held up a hand. Let her approach. Emma climbed the 2 steps to the judge's bench and handed her the folder. Her hands were shaking so badly the papers rustled. The money didn't go to an offshore account in my dad's name, Emma said. It went to an account in Mr. Walsh's wife's name, Stephanie Walsh. The offshore account has her social security number, not my dad's. Judge Brennan's expression changed as she started reading. Her eyebrows drew together. Her lips pressed into into a thin line. And I have text messages, Emma continued, her voice getting stronger. From Mr. Walsh's phone company. Verizon sent them to me when I called customer service. I had to talk to 5 different people, but the last lady was nice and helped me. Mr. Walsh texted his wife about hiding money 2 weeks before he reported my dad to the FBI. The prosecutor stood up. Your Honor, I never saw any of this evidence. This is highly irregular. We need time to verify. Because you never looked, Emma shouted. Her voice cracked. Tears started streaming down her face. You believe Mr. Walsh because he wears expensive suits and my dad fixes cars. You didn't even try to find the truth. The courtroom erupted in whispers. The jury was leaning forward. Reporters in the gallery were frantically taking notes. Emma pulled out more papers. I also have the real contracts. My dad keeps copies of everything in boxes in our garage. He says you always keep receipts because you never know when you'll need proof. These, she held up copies of the prosecution's evidence, are fake. The signatures don't match. I checked with Mrs. Carmen Rodriguez at the public library. She used to be a document examiner before she retired. She showed me how to check. David was pale now, actually pale, sweating. And I have videos, Emma said, from the security cameras at Dad's shop. The DVR saves everything for 90 days. Mr. Walsh comes in at night after the shop closes. When no one's there, he's on Dad's computer doing the fake transfers, making the fake invoices. She pulled out a USB drive from her backpack. It's all here, 6 different nights. The DVR has dates and times on everything. The courtroom exploded. Reporters scrambling, jury members talking, the prosecution team looking at each other in shock. Judge Brennan slammed her gavel. Order! Order in this court! Everyone went silent. The judge looked at David Walsh, really looked at him. Mr. Walsh, stand up. David stood slowly. His confidence was crumbling. His hands were shaking. The fake sympathy had disappeared, replaced by barely concealed panic. Judge Brennan reviewed the folder, page by page. Her face darkened with each one. She pulled out her reading glasses, read more carefully, compared documents. Her jaw clenched. Finally, she looked up. Bailiff, arrest David Walsh for fraud, perjury, obstruction of justice, and wire fraud. What? No! David backed away from his seat. She's just a kid. She's lying. This is coaching. Her father put her up to this. The bank records don't lie, Mr. Walsh, Judge Brennan said coldly. Neither do Verizon's text message logs, or security camera footage with timestamps and metadata. Officer Rodriguez grabbed David, spun him around professionally, cuffed his wrists behind his back. This is insane, David screamed as Rodriguez read him his rights. You can't believe a 7-year-old over me. I'm a partner at Morrison and Associates. I have a reputation. You have the right to remain silent, Rodriguez said calmly. I suggest you use it. Judge Brennan turned to the prosecution table. Ms. Chen, care to explain how your office missed all of this? Chen's face was red. Your Honor, we relied on the evidence provided by the complainant. We had no reason to believe. You had every reason, the judge interrupted. Due diligence, independent verification. These are basic prosecutorial responsibilities. You took the word of one man without conducting your own investigation. That's negligence at best, misconduct at worst. She turned to me. Mr. Tanner, you're free to go. All charges are dismissed with prejudice. The court apologizes for this travesty. My lawyer unlocked my cuffs. My wrists were raw. I'd been wearing those cuffs for 6 hours through the trial. I couldn't move, couldn't process, couldn't breathe. Emma ran to me. I caught her, pulled her tight against my chest. She was crying. So was I. Where did you always said keep receipts, Dad. She sobbed into my shoulder. So I kept all of yours. And when they took you away, I asked Aunt Lisa to help me. And she did. And Mrs. Rodriguez at the library. And the lady at Verizon. And everyone helped because they said what happened to you wasn't fair. I held her tighter. This impossible, brilliant, fierce little girl who'd just saved my life. David was still screaming as they dragged him toward the doors. I'll appeal. I'll sue. This isn't over. You'll never work again, Tanner. I'll destroy you. Judge Brennan's voice cut through the chaos like a knife. Mr. Walsh, you framed an innocent man and almost sent him to prison for 15 years. You committed federal fraud. You perjured yourself in this courtroom. You wasted this court's time and taxpayer resources. Now you'll serve that 15-year sentence yourself, and I guarantee it will be every single day. No early release, no parole, full term. The courtroom erupted again. Camera flashes, reporters shouting questions, the jury looking shell-shocked. I looked down at Emma, my brilliant, impossible daughter who'd saved me when the entire system had failed. You saved me, I whispered. She wiped her eyes, smiled through her tears. You'd do the same for me. Prosecutor Chen approached. She looked sick, ashamed. Mr. Tanner, I apologize. This should never have happened. I should have verified independently. I should have... Save it, Emma interrupted, glaring at her with a ferocity I'd never seen from my 7-year-old. You didn't care about the truth. You just wanted to win. Chen looked like she'd been slapped. Emma turned to the cameras still recording, because of course every news outlet in Seattle was here for what they'd thought would be a simple conviction story, and held up her red folder. My dad always says the truth doesn't need a fancy suit, she said clearly. It just needs someone brave enough to show it. I need to back up, need to explain how we got here, because this didn't start in a courtroom. It started 3 years ago, with a handshake and what I thought was opportunity. David Walsh walked into my shop, Tom's Auto Repair on Pacific Avenue, on a Tuesday afternoon in March 2021, driving a BMW 540i with a check engine light. Diagnostic showed a bad oxygen sensor. Simple fix. We got talking while I worked. He was a corporate lawyer, made good money, hated his job, always wanted to do something more entrepreneurial. "You're good at this," he said, watching me work. "How long have you been a mechanic?" 18 years, since I was 18. "Ever think about owning your own place?" "Every day. But it takes capital, equipment, real estate, more than I've got saved." He smiled. "What if you didn't have to do it alone?" That's how it started. That simple, that naive. We met for coffee 3 times over the next month. He laid out the plan. He'd put up $200,000 for equipment and a down payment on a property. I'd contribute my tools and my skills. We'd be 50-50 partners. Tanner and Walsh Auto Repair. "Why me?" I asked. "Because you're honest," he said. "I've met plenty of dishonest mechanics. You're not one of them. That matters." I should have asked more questions, should have gotten a lawyer to review the partnership agreement, should have done due diligence, but I was desperate to escape working for Tom, who paid minimum wage and took all the profit from my skills, and David seemed legitimate. Corporate lawyer, nice suit, firm handshake. I trusted him. We opened Tanner and Walsh Auto Repair in August 2021. Beautiful shop, 8 bays, hydraulic lifts, all the diagnostic equipment I dreamed of, my name on the sign. For the first year, everything was perfect. Business was good. We were profitable. David handled the books and the business side. I handled the repairs and the customer service. I should have paid more attention to the books. Around month 15, I noticed some irregularities. Invoices that didn't match what I'd written. Payments from customers that never showed up in our accounts. Parts orders I didn't remember making. I asked David about it. "Accounting errors," he said. "Don't worry about it. I'm handling it." I told myself he was right. He was the business guy. I was the mechanic. Division of labor. Red flag number 1, ignored. Month 18, our accountant quit. Just left. No explanation. Didn't return calls. "She got a better offer," David said. "I'm looking for a replacement." He hired his own accountant, his wife's cousin, who reported only to him. Red flag number 2. Month 20, I noticed money was tight. Really tight. We'd had our best revenue month ever, but I had to wait a week to get paid. "Cash flow issue," David explained. "Some clients pay slow. It'll smooth out." It didn't smooth out. It got worse. Month 22, David suggested I take a smaller share temporarily, just until we get through this rough patch. "You'll get it back with interest." I agreed, because Emma needed school supplies and Lisa was helping with childcare, and I couldn't afford to lose my share of the business. Red flag number 3. Then came the FBI. February 14th, 2024, Valentine's Day. I'll never forget it, because I was supposed to take Emma to dinner and a movie, our annual tradition since her mother died. Instead, 6 FBI agents showed up at my house at 6:47 a.m. with a search warrant. "Marcus Tanner, you're under arrest for wire fraud, bank fraud, and embezzlement." "What? They didn't care. Cuffed me in front of Emma, tore apart my house looking for evidence, seized my laptop, my phone, my files. Emma stood in the doorway crying. "Daddy, what's happening?" "It's okay, baby. It's a mistake. Aunt Lisa's coming to get you." But it wasn't a mistake. It was a setup. David had spent 18 months creating a perfect paper trail that made me look guilty. He'd opened offshore accounts in my name, used my signature, forged, but I didn't know that yet, made transfers that looked like I was stealing, created fake contracts that showed me authorizing the theft, and then he'd reported it all to the FBI, playing the role of the heartbroken partner who'd discovered his best friend was a thief. They arrested me, charged me. My bail was set at $100,000, money I didn't have because David had stolen everything. I sat in King County Jail for 4 months before trial. My court-appointed lawyer was overworked and underprepared. The prosecution had resources I couldn't match. I was going to lose. Emma came to visit me twice a week. Lisa brought her. We'd sit in the visiting room and talk through thick glass on phones that made everything echo. "When are you coming home, Daddy?" "Soon, baby, soon." But I didn't believe it. Neither did she. "Aunt Lisa says you didn't do it." "I didn't." "Then why do they think you did?" "Because sometimes the truth is hard to prove." She looked at me with those serious brown eyes. 7 years old and trying to understand why her father was in jail. "I'll find the truth," she said. "Emma, you always say keep receipts. So I'll find your receipts, and I'll show them." I didn't take her seriously. She was 7. What could a 7-year-old do against the federal government? I underestimated her. Emma went to work. With help, because a 7-year-old can't navigate the legal system alone, but with her own determination driving everything. First, she went to Lisa, my sister, 39 years old, senior bank manager at Pacific Northwest Bank. Emma told her everything she'd heard me say about the case, about the money, about the offshore accounts. Lisa pulled records, not illegally. She had access to check account ownership and routing information for fraud prevention. What she found was explosive. The offshore accounts weren't in my name. Not really. They used my social security number, which David had access to from our partnership paperwork. But the beneficial owner listed was Stephanie Walsh, David's wife. Lisa printed everything, gave it to Emma in a red folder. "This proves your dad didn't do it," Lisa said. "But we need more." Next, Emma went to the public library, found Mrs. Carmen Rodriguez, 72 years old, retired FBI document examiner who volunteered teaching seniors how to use computers. "Can you tell if a signature is fake?" Emma asked. Mrs. Rodriguez smiled. "I can. What do you have? Emma showed her the contracts, the ones with my signature authorizing the transfers. Mrs. Rodriguez examined them with a magnifying glass and years of expertise. These are forgeries, she said. Look here, the pressure is inconsistent. The signature is too perfect. When people sign quickly, there are natural variations. These were traced or copied from a template. She wrote a formal analysis. 3 pages, detailed examination, official looking. Emma put it in the folder. Then she called Verizon. This part I still can't believe worked. She called customer service, got transferred 4 times, finally reached a representative named Ashley, who thought Emma's determination was the cutest thing ever. My dad didn't steal money, but they say he did, and I need proof that Mr. Walsh is lying. Ashley wasn't supposed to release records to a 7-year-old, but Emma was so earnest, so convinced of my innocence, that Ashley felt sorry for her. What kind of proof do you need, sweetheart? Text messages between Mr. Walsh and his wife about hiding money. Ashley put her on hold, came back 10 minutes later. Honey, I'm going to send these to your aunt's email, but don't tell anyone I did this, okay? The text messages were damning. David to Stephanie, January 28, 2024. Tanner's getting suspicious. Time to pull the trigger. Stephanie to David, January 29, 2024. Are you sure? What if they don't believe? David to Stephanie, January 29, 2024. They'll believe me. I have the paper trail. Everything points to him. David to Stephanie, February 1st, 2024. Called FBI today. Tipped them off about the embezzlement. They're eating it up. Emma printed them. Put them in the folder. Finally, the security footage. Our shop had cameras. 4 of them. DVR that saved 90 days of footage. Lisa went to the shop, which was in receivership pending the trial, and claimed she needed to retrieve some of my personal items. While there, she checked the DVR, found exactly what Emma thought would be there. David Walsh, entering the shop at 11:47 p.m. on December 12, 2023, using his key, going to my office, sitting at my computer for 43 minutes. The computer that had my password saved, my signature scan on file. He did it 6 times over 3 months. Each time the DVR caught him. Timestamp, date, clear footage. Lisa copied it all to USB drives, multiple copies. Emma put one in her folder. By the time the trial started, Emma had everything, but I didn't know. She'd done it all in secret because she was afraid I'd tell her to stop, that I'd say it was too dangerous or too complicated for a kid. She was right. I would have. Instead, she built a case that the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office had completely missed, and when the trial reached its conclusion, when it looked like I was going to lose everything, she walked into that courtroom and delivered it. The aftermath was swift and brutal for David. The judge ordered an immediate bail hearing for David, set it at $500,000. He couldn't make it. All his assets were immediately frozen pending investigation. He sat in the same King County jail where I'd spent 4 months. Difference was he was facing real charges with real evidence. The FBI opened a new investigation. This time, they actually looked, found the offshore accounts, found the forged documents, found emails between David and Stephanie discussing the scheme in detail. Turns out, David had gambling debts, serious ones. He'd stolen the money to pay off loan sharks. Then, when he couldn't pay it back to the business, he'd decided to frame me instead of facing the consequences. The trial was 4 months later. David tried to claim I'd manipulated Emma, that Lisa had fabricated evidence, that Mrs. Rodriguez was mistaken. The jury didn't buy it. Convicted on all counts. Wire fraud, bank fraud, perjury, obstruction of justice. Judge Brennan sentenced him to 17 years in federal prison. No parole. You destroyed an innocent man's life, she said at sentencing. You traumatized his child. You wasted court resources. You committed perjury in my courtroom. You showed no remorse. 17 years. And I hope you think about Marcus Tanner and his daughter every single day you're there. Stephanie Walsh was charged as an accomplice. She took a plea deal. 5 years. Testified against David in exchange for the reduced sentence. The shop was returned to me, free and clear. David's half of the partnership was dissolved. I owned it outright. The $217,000 he'd stolen was recovered from the offshore accounts, returned to the business, plus damages, plus legal fees. I got everything back, my house, my car, Emma's college fund, my tools, my reputation. But more than that, I got my daughter back. The media went crazy. 7-year-old saves father from false conviction. Girl genius exposes FBI mistakes. Child's courage reveals truth. Emma was on Good Morning America, the Today Show. Local news couldn't get enough of her. She hated it. Just wanted to go back to 2nd grade and play with her friends. But she did one interview for 60 minutes because the producer promised to donate to her school's library program. Why did you do it? The interviewer asked. Because my dad always keeps his promises, Emma said, and he promised he didn't steal. So I believed him, and I found proof. Were you scared? Really scared. But being scared doesn't mean you stop. It just means you have to be brave. What would you say to other kids whose parents are in trouble? She thought about it. I'd say don't give up and find people who will help. Aunt Lisa helped me. Mrs. Rodriguez helped me. The nice lady at Verizon helped me. You can't do big things alone, but if you ask, people will help. 3 months after my acquittal, I reopened Tanner Auto Repair. New name, just mine. Emma helped me paint the sign. Her idea was to add, "Where we keep receipts," as a tagline. I told her that was perfect. She still keeps every receipt I give her. her, files them in folders in her room, just in case. You never know when you'll need proof, Daddy. She's right. You never do. 6 months after the trial, Prosecutor Rebecca Chen resigned. The Washington State Bar opened an investigation into her conduct. She'd violated discovery rules, failed to independently verify evidence, relied solely on a complainant's claims without due diligence. She took a job as a public defender, making a quarter of what she'd made as a prosecutor, trying to make amends by defending the accused instead of rushing to convict them. I don't know if she'll ever truly make up for what she almost did to me, but at least she's trying. My lawyer, Thomas Martinez, got a job offer from a major firm after the publicity. He turned it down, stayed with the public defender's office. Someone has to protect the Marcus Tanners of the world, he said. Might as well be me. He's a better lawyer now, more careful, more thorough, more willing to believe his clients. And me, I'm a mechanic, still fixing cars, still keeping receipts, still raising Emma the best I can. She's 9 now, 4th grade, still brilliant, still fierce, still the girl who saved my life. Last week, she came home with a permission slip for a field trip to the federal courthouse. We're learning about the justice system, she said. I signed it, watched her fold it carefully, and put it in her backpack. You know, I said, you've already seen more of the justice system than most kids ever will. She smiled. I know, but maybe I'll see it different this time. Maybe I'll see what it's supposed to be instead of what it almost was. Smart kid, wise beyond her years. Last night she was doing homework at the kitchen table. Social studies project about heroes. Who are you writing about? I asked. You. Emma, I'm not a hero. Yes, you are. You didn't give up even when everyone said you were guilty. You kept saying the truth. That's being a hero. You're the one who proved it. You taught me how. You taught me to keep receipts, to ask questions, to find proof. I just did what you always said to do. She finished her essay, read it to me. My dad says the truth doesn't need a fancy suit. It just needs someone brave enough to show it. That's what heroes do. They show the truth even when it's hard, even when people don't want to see it, even when they're scared. My dad is my hero because he never stopped telling the truth. And I'm going to be like him. I'm going to show the truth too, no matter what. I told her it was perfect, because it was. She asked me to keep the essay when she brought it back from school. For the file, she said. You never know when you'll need proof. I keep it in my desk drawer, next to the red folder that saved my life. The one Emma carried into federal court when she was 7 years old. The one that proved David Walsh wrong when he said nobody would believe a mechanic over a lawyer. The one that proved the system wrong when it rushed to judgment without checking the facts. The one that proved my daughter right when she said she'd find the truth, because she did. And the truth, it turns out, doesn't need expensive lawyers or FBI resources or prosecutorial power. It just needs a 7-year-old girl with a red folder and the courage to stand up in front of a federal judge and say, "Let my dad go, or I'll show everyone who's really lying." She showed them, and they finally listened.